Yo, what's up everybody? It's Anthony Flynn. I'm back at you again. Welcome to the Execution Pipeline video series. I'm excited to join you for another segment. I'm excited to help you move your business idea, your personal idea, whatever the case, from dream to reality. But first, before I begin to actually give you instructions on some pragmatic and practical tools to actually help you shift from just concept and theory to reality, I thought it not robbery to take a little bit of time to tell you a little bit about me and my story and how I got to this point of being able to help people really make the transition from concept or from what's in their head to actually living and modeling out what it is that they desire to attain, what it is that they desire to accomplish in their lives. Listen, I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth, so I want to encourage you that if I can do it, you can do it. You're no different than I am. I'm no different from you. I'm not superhuman. I don't profess to have any supernatural powers. Listen, many of my friends, my colleagues, many people in the marketplace label me as a self-discipline strategist. I spend a lot of time coaching individuals, high capacity individuals, wealth, people in high places in terms of leadership in corporate America, in education, in government, you name it. I've spent quality time with a number of very successful people. But one of the things I want to continue to remind people is that I'm no different than they are. I'm no different than you are. You have the capacity to fulfill your dreams, to live out your ambitions no differently than I do. And I want to really be transparent with you so that you understand what I've had to overcome in my life, at least some of the things I've had to overcome in my life in order just to get to this place, right? So listen, I was born to a teenage mother in Memphis, Tennessee. Classic story, right? Kid from the hood. You know, I could have been a statistic. I mean, many kids who come from backgrounds like mine, they don't make it to the place that I am today. My mom was 16 years old when she got pregnant with me right there in Memphis, Tennessee, my home city. Had me before her 17th birthday. 38 days before her, 38 days after my mom's 17th birthday in Memphis, Tennessee, she gave birth to me, June 22nd, 1977. Yep, that's the date that I was brought to this earth. And my mom had to actually spend her entire senior year trying to figure out childcare, trying to figure out how she was going to actually graduate, knowing that she had an infant, a small baby at the house. She didn't have stable childcare, so she spent a lot of time just trying to figure life out. She eventually graduated. She and my biological father, who also went to high school with her, they did manage to stay together, but they come from very tumultuous backgrounds. Listen, my mom's mom, who we ended up having an incredible relationship with my grandmother, but my grandmother had 5 nervous breakdowns throughout her life, died in her early 60s, never got past an elementary education, never learned to drive in her life, never worked a job in her life. Life was extremely difficult for her, and as a result, guess what? That made life extremely difficult for my mom and her siblings, which in many ways, candidly, relative to generational cycles, in some ways that made life very difficult for me also. So think about the fact that I'm this kid born to a teenage mom in poverty in Memphis, Tennessee. How on earth do I get to this place in my life? Well, I'll tell you what. A lot of things had to transpire in my life. Breaking poverty, breaking generational cycles of thinking, overcoming the challenge of not having anyone before me who graduated with a 4-year degree. Lots of things had to transpire. And let me tell you, it started with one, who I hung around in my life, right? Like, in order for me to break the cycle that I came from, to break out of the family lineage, and to break some of the damaging cycles of my past, I had to determine that I was going to hang around a different group of people. One of the huge blessings in disguise for me is that I had the privilege of being bused from an inner city community to a wealthy suburban middle school where my world was opened up in ways I could never have imagined. I saw families living a lifestyle that I aspired to one day live. I saw families that were, walking in unison together, going on vacations together, dads who were leading at high levels in corporate America and high levels in education and high levels in city government. My mind was opened up in ways I could never have imagined. And so as a result of that, I spent a lot of time wandering around in a good sense, in circles that did not reflect the background of my own journey. I spent a lot of time learning. I had to unlearn a number of old habits and if you will, learn new habits that frankly were not necessarily in my surroundings. You know, I had to spend a lot of time outside of my context, outside of my own community, learning from people, reading, learning from cultures that were so radically different from my own personal culture, my own small environment. And in many ways, that's what helped me to actually ascend to where I am today. So again, I want you to just really think about the fact that life wasn't peaches and cream for me. I had to do a lot of overcoming obstacles, jumping over hurdles. There's so much more behind my story that I wish I could share with you, but frankly, I simply don't have the time. I don't want to bore you with all the details of my life, you know, and maybe I'll share more. In fact, I will share more as we continue to go through this entire video series. But I just wanted you to understand that in full transparency, I don't come from a silver spoon family. I come from poverty. I come from a background where, you know, not many people went to college. In fact, if I can be very frank with you, I still have a number of family members still trying to break out, still wrestling through that crisis, that circle of poverty, that circle of lacking education. I mean, there's many people in my environment from my childhood and my upbringing and my family lineage who have not had the privilege of getting to where I am. So how did I get here? Let me tell you, it was hard work. I have to tell you, above anything else, it's not going to be an easy journey. It never is an easy journey. So many people expect that their ideas just self-execute. Ideas, dreams, ambitions, they do not self-execute. In order for me to get to where I am today, I had to exercise a number of disciplines that helped me to escape the environment that I could have found myself in permanently for the rest of my life. I'm grateful that my mother had the courage and the wherewithal to fight to get out of her conditions. I'm grateful that my stepfather eventually came into the picture and that both of them together decided to have some form of work ethic to really grow us out of poverty into a lower middle class family. But yet, listen, the reality is, in many ways, even with their hard work and their diligence as individuals, they still didn't get me to this point. Nobody in my family had ever gone to college before, to a four-year institution. Nobody in my family had ever attained a master's degree before. Nobody in my family had ever worked in corporate America at the level that I worked at. Nobody in my family has ever been an entrepreneur. I mean, I've done a ton of things that were trend-setting, that were pace-setting. I've done a ton of things in my life that essentially were pioneering efforts to overcome the jaws of poverty, to overcome the cycles of my past, to overcome generational curses. And so I want to just encourage you that you can have the same courage if you exercise the same disciplines, the same work ethic. If you're willing to put in the hard work that it takes to get to where you want to be, you can accomplish your dreams and your ambitions just as I've been able to accomplish my dreams and ambitions. Listen, I've been with you a little bit longer than I anticipated. So with that being stated, I want to wrap up this segment and tell you I'm excited about the very next session. I'm going to start talking to you about the process of actually seeing your dreams, your ambitions come to life. The process of moving from idea or concept to reality. I look forward to seeing you on the next session.